Hello and welcome to my channel Close to the Edge, where we talk about all things prog rock, classic rock, heavy rock, and maybe even a sticker rock. Stick around, you never know. Today I have a very special guest, Dermot O'Reilly, former YouTube and prog aficionado. Dermot, welcome to the channel.
Thank you, Pat. Absolute pleasure to be here.
And today, Dermot, we have a very, very interesting topic, have we not?
Yes.
Very interesting topic. 10, really, like we're going over 15 minutes here now. 10 epic prog rock tracks from the 70s, like, or late 60s. Like, these are going to be stellar now. And Dermot has picked 10, and I have picked 10. So we have no crossovers here. And also, we're not ranking them, even though we'll number them from 10 to 1. We're not saying which one is better than the other, because they're all absolutely brilliant. Well, all mine are brilliant. I don't know about Dermot's now.
Yeah, Pat being an absolute gentleman, and I have to say I was in his neck of the woods today, which was very nice in Waterford City. And anybody that is thinking of visiting Ireland should definitely have it on the itinerary. Wouldn't you say, Pat?
Yes, absolutely.
And Pat gave me first refusal on the epics. Okay.
So, yes, I gave him first refusal because there's so many epics. And we said we go with 15 minutes or over. I think I have one that's 14:57. So, I like it so much, it's going in there.
He is the king.
But Dermot, we're going to kick it off with your number 10.
Okay, number 10. Now, these aren't, like you said, these aren't ranked on any.
They're not ranked, no, but we have to number them so we know where I stand.
Okay. So I got into my usual headspace, completely overanalyzed everything, and thought, well, where do I begin? Okay, so I just thought I've got to begin with the great Procol Harum from the album Shine On Brightly, and the track is In Hell 'Twas in I. A lot of people reckon it's probably the first epic ever recorded. I think it was September 1968 that album came out.
Yeah, an English band, aren't they? English kind of.
Yes.
Not a big fan of them, Dermot. Not a big fan.
Well, that's okay, Pat. We can disagree.
Yeah, not a big fan of them. Okay, yeah. And the reason being, Dermot, because I haven't heard a whole lot by him.
Yeah,
I can't make an honest assessment of him when I haven't heard enough of them.
But to be honest, Pat, I wouldn't recommend everything that they've produced. But if I can recommend one album to you now, they did an album in 1970 called Home. And it's just a masterpiece. It's just fantastic.
Masterpiece. Okay, that's one then I look out for. That's one I look out. And that track you picked, Dermot, is that kind of the start of, would you think that's the start of prog?
It's very I suppose it's very early in what we would call progressive rock these days.
Progressive rock.
Okay, exactly. Well done. I would say, actually, you, Pat, have often said to me that progressive rock is when we move towards a European influence in the music.
That's it. That's great.
And I think if you take Procol Harum's single from the year prior to that, A Whiter Shade of Pale.
Yeah, everyone knows that, yeah.
There we are. There we have the European influence. There's hardly any Americana in it. It's a deep song, okay?
Yes.
Some deep kind of meaning that anyone can bring to this piece,
I understand that, Dermot.
So they're definitely one of the early people that started to move beyond that kind of children's entertainment that was rock music prior to that, I'd say.
Okay, good band, Dermot. Good man. Anyway, Dermot, moving on to my number 10. Yeah. And this is the song that's 14:57, but it's 15 as far as I'm concerned. It's from Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes by Eli, and the track is The Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Now that is, Dermot, a classic.
Yeah.
Proggy space rock track. And the keyboard work on this is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I think the drummer, I can't think of his name, but he used to be with the Scorpions. He brought him in on the album First Dawn, and he had 3 albums together. He had Dawn, The Ocean, and Silent Cries.
Yeah.
And they're probably, in Eli's whole discography, their 3 best albums.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you believe I was actually listening to that in the car as I was driving up from Waterford today?
Well, yeah, that album. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that track an incredible track, though? The way
It's fantastic. Yeah.
it starts. So, and there's a bit of singing in it. And I know his voice is not everyone's cup of tea, but he is a German singing English.
Mm.
But when he finishes the singing, I'd say about 3/4 of that would be instrumental.
Yeah.
And it just brings you on to me, that brings me on a journey. And of course, it is a concept album, as most of their albums are.
Yeah.
Just brings me on that journey. And I think the keyboards on it are hypnotic.
Do you know what I find about Eli is they can be progressive. They can have all sorts of kind of little things that they'll throw you in a song, but they can also sit in a groove, which is really hypnotic and just can.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You just follow it, and it's kind of, it is hypnotic. Very underrated band, Dermot.
Yes.
Very underrated.
No, I would agree.
Anyway, that's my number 10.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to my number 9 now.
Number 9. This will be. I'm going to take a slug of coffee here.
You'll need it for this one, Pat. It's the Valentine Suite by Colosseum. Okay. About 15, 16 years ago, I lived near a guy, and he was a bit older than myself, and he'd grown up in Birmingham in that era when all of this music was out there. In fact, he used to go to Mother's, where the live part of Omagoma was recorded, and he knew that club. And he used to do a bit of the lighting at the club now and again. He used to help out. Bands. And he said to me the greatest live act he ever saw in his life were Colosseum back at that time. And I wasn't very familiar with them. It was a name that I'd heard, all right. And he had a DVD, Colosseum Live, where they made a comeback in Cologne back in the 90s. And he put this thing on and they played the Valentine Suite on it. I swear to God, Pat, I had to pick my jaw off the floor. The quality of musicianship is just amazing. It is just fantastic. This is another early one. This is from 1969. And to me, if you want to hear like what was an influence on the first King Crimson album, you can hear touches of that Colosseum.
In that album. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that album at all, actually. I have a Colosseum album. I have one album. It's a later album by him, which is excellent.
Yeah.
But I found, listening to some of their stuff, that they were bordering to jazz fusion as well, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. They
were bringing lots of elements into their music.
Yeah.
And great players, though. Great players.
Yeah, I mean, it's that level of musicianship. So what we have is, you get the piece by Procol Harum, and you have this European kind of construction, which is also a big journey. It's about like finding one's, a guy going off, he's trying to find the meaning of life in it. And then you get the Valentine Suite, which is purely instrumental, but it's using that kind of European layout of how like a kind of complex orchestral piece of music would be played.
Yes.
But it's using this jazz sensibilities, and it's using this like amazing musicianship at another level. And once you start to put some of this together, you're seeing like what was to happen later on with things,
Very good. That's a good one. Dermot. Dermot, my number 9 is from Minstrel in the Gallery, and the track is Baker Street Muse.
Fantastic.
This is the box set of it.
Yeah.
And that is on the second side. It's the second last track. You have that little 20-second track after it.
Yeah.
But this is incredible. And at this time, Jethro Tull would have been classed, again, I'll use that word, progressive rock, from Tickets to Break, Passion Play. War Child, not so much.
Yeah.
And this one is an absolute, it's an unbelievable track. Because
Yeah.
it has everything in this. And I always found with Jethro Tull, the beauty of Jethro Tull is they really did mix it up.
Yes. Yeah.
They mixed it up. They had you had folk in there.
Yeah.
Traditional, and a lot of music. He was influenced by a lot of traditional music from Europe.
Yeah.
And he had the progressive elements in there, and everything going on. But that particular track is just absolutely like brilliant, and one of the best drummers ever in rock music. Barrymore Barlow is on that album. Like, he is just an amazing drummer. But that's anyway. Baker Street Muse by the
I couldn't disagree with you, Pat. It's fantastic. And what I love about Jethro Tull is they have the same trick that Beethoven used to use. If you're ever listening to some of Beethoven's, really, he comes up with a theme and recycles it in all different ways over and over again.
Over and over again, yeah. Grabs you.
Yeah, and Ian Anderson does that a hell of a lot. It comes in Aqualung, and it comes in there in Baker Street Muse as well, where he plays it fast, he plays it slow, he plays it acoustic, he plays it electric, and it kind of, yeah. And it's just about kind of, but then there's the familiarity driving you back to this kind of line of notes that holds the whole piece together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my number 9, Dermot. What's your number 8?
Okay, you're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me. I know you hate this one. It's Atom Heart Mother.
Oh, Dermot. You're after killing me, Dermot. Oh, I hate that album with a passion.
I'm sorry, Pat. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're going to pick the title track, the first track.
I am. And the reason for that is when I'm thinking about epic, like, what does epic mean? What does it do for me? What does it mean? And to me, like, an epic track, it isn't just a long piece of music, because I think there's a lot of people out there now in these so-called modern prog bands that are producing long pieces of music that are not epic. They're just long, and it doesn't go anywhere. But to me, like, an epic track should almost be like cinematic. It should paint pictures in the mind of the listener. So the listener sits back and paints pictures for them. I picked Atom Heart Mother because now, and these are only my picks now, and I also wanted to go away from the kind of what everyone, the usual suspects.
Yeah, with that one.
And what and what happened was, it personal to me. I remember Pink Floyd were around the place. They were talked about. They were this, that, and the other. They were this like mysterious band when I was young. And then The Wall came out, and it kind of blew us all away. It was just like a cultural phenomenon. Like, everybody was talking to them when it came out, which I think a lot of younger people don't seem to realize, like, how big this thing actually was. And I went there was a radio station here in lovely Clonmel by the River Suir, and it was CBC radio back in the 80s. I don't know, did you guys pick it up in Waterford? But it was run now, it was run by a kind of crowd of what you call kind of like gunslingers from Clonmel and Carrick-on-Suir, and they used to run this radio station in Clonmel, one of these pirate radios. And I went in there one day. I was I was into music, like, from a very young age. And they said to me, is there anything you want out of the library? And they had all these albums. And I went through them all. And I picked out a copy of Saucer Full of Secrets, just because it was a Pink Floyd album. And when I put that album on, and it was the first Pink Floyd album I ever owned now, Pat, okay? And I put it on, and it kind of somehow created this kind of feeling of nostalgia towards black and white English, late 50s, 1960s movies, these things with Alan Bates in them and these sort of people that would be black and white kitchen sink drama, rough kind of things, canals and riversides and all this sort of thing. Songs like Corporal Clegg, then you got brass band, jug band blues, you got this brass band sound against this northern England kind of sound, and I think Malcolm Arnold did the music, did the soundtrack to a lot of those movies, the guy that did the Concerto for Group and Orchestra with Deep Purple, that conducted the orchestra. It's this kind of Malcolm Arnold sound to Atom Heart Mother that just kind of drives home that whole feeling that I have about Pink Floyd.
You said you heard Sauce Full of Secrets for. Did you hear Atom Heart Mother after that album?
Yes, I did. Yeah. And the thing was, you see, that kind of Saucer Full of Secrets thing, I could see it kind of blending into Atom Heart Mother. Atom Heart Mother was more the kind of expansive version of that.
Yeah, it's strange you should say it. Now, I don't like Atom Heart Mother anyway, for obvious reasons. I just don't like it. But isn't it strange, though, that I like Omagoma?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the live track. I'm talking about the actual studio.
Yeah.
The mad stuff.
Yeah.
I actually like that. And yet I don't like.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, Pat, go on.
Yeah, but I used to love, and probably the reason why I liked Omagoma is because it's kind of spaced out. It really is a marijuana.
Yeah. Well, do you know what, Pat? I got Sauce Full of Secrets, and when I heard the title track, I was going, "Oh my Jesus, what is this?" Because I had no idea, never heard anything like that. And then we did some investigation. I remember there was a publication used to come out every week, The History of Rock.
Yeah.
Do you remember you could get it and you could build it into this big binder thing?
That's right. Yeah, kind of yeah.
Yeah, and the episode on Pink Floyd had a bit about like Sid Barrett in it and everything. And we were reading about this guy like that had gone mad on drugs and this band then that had come out of this experimentation thing. So I remember getting Omagoma and I brought it home and I used to play it all the time, think, God, this is great. Everyone will think I'm mad and really interested.
Oh yeah, the mad sounds on that. All the mad sounds and anyway, I digress, Dermot. Anyway, that was your number 8. My number 8 is Pink Floyd as well.
Okay.
Dogs from Animals.
Yes. Yeah.
Now that to me is it's just one of those songs where I think the lyrics on it are every bit as important as the music.
Yeah.
Because the story, like the lyrics are just brilliant. And Gilmour sings the first part. And then it breaks. And then, of course, Roger Waters comes back with his distinctive voice. Yes. It's like Gilmour has a sweeter voice where Waters comes back in with a kind of an angry voice because he has an angry voice.
Yeah.
And he wrote the lyrics, so they're coming from inside him.
Yeah, but there's a desperation in his voice.
Exactly, desperation in that track, and I love the way it flows, and I love the middle part where it kind of, and you hear the dogs barking in the background. You know what I mean? And it kind of takes you on a trip.
Well, it does. I mean, it goes underwater. You're in the bag with the dog.
And I love when he comes back in. Does he come back in and he said, "Got to admit, I'm a little bit confused."
Yeah.
Comes back in with that line. And he says, sometimes it seems to me as if we're all being used.
Yeah.
You get me? It's so, I think it's so profound, his lyrics on that, on the whole album, but particularly that track.
Oh, it's fantastic.
That's an amazing track. That's my number 8, Dogs by Pink Floyd.
Yeah. I remember that album now. That was one that I came across when it was kind of in my later teens, shall we say. And I remember I used to listen to it on headphones quite a lot late at night. And
it's a good. I'm not a big headphone. And I'm not a big headphone person anyway, but they're supposed to be good on the headphones. But I always that's my favorite Pink Floyd album anyway.
Yeah.
It's when Roger started to take over the band anyway.
Well, I think the thing was it was an album that when we were young now would have been kind of overlooked by a lot of people. There used to be a lot of talk about the other ones, and that was kind of very much overlooked. But it's one that's kind of found its place now. There's an awful lot of talk about it now and everything.
A lot more talk about it.
Yeah, and I mean we're living in kind of, shall we say, interesting political times, and the idea of people like these dogs, the apparatchiks that do the dirty work for the others. Fantastic. Exactly. What can I say? An angry album. I think there's a dark side to you that we don't really know about, to be honest.
Oh yeah, well, I loved Roger Waters. I think, just digressing 1 second, a lot of people, I did a video a long time ago on the final cut. Yeah. Is it a hidden masterpiece as such? And I think it is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, he's only given out. Yeah, but if you read the lyrics, he's not.
Yeah.
He's pointing out, not giving out.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, people who can see a better way of doing things are often just criticizing, giving out about the status quo. But
Yeah.
what they're really doing is trying to show, like, I mean, let's think about this. Maybe there's a better way to do things. And I think Roger Waters did a lot of that in himself.
A
And
lot
it
of
was
that in
about
his
being
lyrics.
human. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, you're number 7, Dermot.
Right, Pat. Okay. Now, of course, I went off on one of my theses again, Pat. So once I hit Adam Harris Mother, I thought, when was the time when prog was what I would kind of regard it as this time when they pushed the boundaries of things. When
it would have been 73, 74, around that area. It would
I would actually go earlier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring King Crimson's Lizard in here. Okay.
Okay, that's end of 1970.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got
2 albums in 70.
So what we're saying is October 1970 to October 1971 is the era that I found that what we have here is 2 epic pieces of music, and I've got a third one in the same era coming up next that are completely nothing like each other, but that are extremely experimental, because any of those things are just mad, but I find with Lizard on that album, on that King Crimson album, it is, to me, it's the base work for a lot of these kind of confrontational prog epics, like if we take Tarkus, came very soon after. We listened to The Gates of Delirium. You can hear the same sort of, building up like to this conflict. This piece of conflict takes place on the album. You have this sadness and resolution coming out of it,
What's the track up of that again?
It's Lizard. It's the title track.
That's side 2, is it? Side 2?
Side 2, yeah, with John Anderson on it.
I remember I bought that album. No, I don't have the LP anymore. I have it on CD.
Yeah.
Remastered CD is very good, actually.
Yeah.
I bought it. The only reason I bought the album is because John Anderson was on it.
Yeah. Well, I was very unfamiliar with King Crimson at the time.
It took me a long time to get into that album. I don't think it's one of their best now. I've absolutely pushed to it, but because they were actually gone, as you just said, they were gone a totally different way than their previous 2 albums.
Yeah.
And what was to come, like they really pushed the boundaries on that album.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. Like, everything the rhythms are like people with 7 legs trying to walk in a straight line and things like this.
That's a great pick, though.
Yeah,
that's a great pick. My number 7, and you just mentioned, actually brings me on to this album, the title track from Tarkus.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
like as you said, confrontational, aggressive. But to me, this is one of the greatest, actually, epic tracks.
Yeah.
Like, this is before, like, you think about it, this track is before Supper's Ready, it's before Close to the Edge.
Yeah.
Like, and I think a lot of bands would have heard this one. And they said, my God, they can play.
Yeah.
And could they play? And actually, I always prefer the live version of this, Dermot. Off the Triple Live album.
Yeah.
Back My Friends. And it's just, but the Armadillo tank.
Yeah.
Manticore, towards the end. And the lyrics by Greg Lake, the lyrics on that album, on that track. And it's, it's just brilliant. But the strange thing about that track is when Keith Emerson brought that track, the music, to Greg Lake, they were going to split up because of that.
Yeah.
Because Greg Lake didn't want this big, long, epic. You know what I mean? He didn't want it. But they worked their way around it, and he put the lyrics then he put to it fitted the actual music.
Yeah.
And it flows so well, like, you know what I mean?
That's the point I'd make, Pat. It sounds like, some of these prog things that are epics are kind of different things bolted together.
Yeah, but the way they
you know.
do it, though, the way
Oh
they
yeah,
do it.
I think an influential track like on it all would have been like side 2 of the Beatles' Abbey Road, and a lot of bands kind of bolted together different things to make one big track.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
when you listen to Tarkus, that isn't like that. Tarkus is written with intent from start to finish.
To finish,
To
and the
do
music
what
on it by Emerson is just
yeah,
it's just it's sublime, really, Dermot.
yeah.
Sublime. Dermot, what's your number 6?
Okay, my number 6, and I'm still in my same era.
Okay.
Is A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers
Oh,
by the
what a
great
track.
Graaf Generator. Okay.
Oh, Dermot, that is absolutely an incredible. That's off of Pawn Hearts, isn't it?
That's it. I think he approves, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I do. Well, I do. I love that. I love that track.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people who don't get Van de Graaff Generator or dismiss him as, they don't get about Hamill. Like, his lyrics are just so exceptional. Yeah, I know his voice can be a little bit harsh at times.
Yeah.
But the music on that track is just. I love the title of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Name of the track.
Yeah.
That one actually takes me again. Like I was saying, you were saying about they do take you on a journey.
It does. Yeah, and that takes you on quite a journey.
Quite a journey, and I always find with that track, if I listen to it, so whilst I heard it now, I must play it again now soon. Every time I play it, it sounds different.
Yes. Yeah.
It takes me over this way, or
well, that's because there's something visceral in it, and whoever you are, you're changing every day. You're never the same person 2 days in a row.
No.
And then when you return to something that's that visceral, that talks you on that kind of back of the head level, it's just incredible. And not only is it talking at that back of the head level, but then you've got Hamill's lyrics, but the way he delivers his lyrics, even.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
The way the band plays on it, it's like nothing else. It's just
and they were huge in Italy.
Yes, yeah.
They were treated like superstars in Italy. Yet no one hardly knew them in the UK where they're from. They're from Manchester.
Yeah,
and they never, hit that. I know Prague bands were never going to be. I mean, like a Led Zeppelin or anything like that, but they never. They're a bit like Gentle Giant in many respects, under the radar.
Yeah. They
under
were.
the radar.
I'll tell you, I was into Prague for years, and I was working in the UK, and it was the managing. I used to sit there, and sometimes I'd be late at night working.
Yeah.
And I'd have CDs, and I'd put them on in the computer. And the managing director came out one day, and he just put that on my desk, and he said, "Have you heard these people?" I said, "No." He said, "Go home and listen."
Brilliant, and the rest of the day.
I found my dark side that day. But this is another one you see within that era I'm talking about. So look at the diversity we have here: Adam Art Mother, Lizard, and A Plague of Lighthouse Keepers. Got some very diverse,
a lot of diverse music there. Yeah,
we're gone right out on this thing. Yeah, but
you're gone out to the outer limits, as they say.
We are.
You're at the outer limits.
Yeah.
Now, anyway, Dermot, that was great, Dermot. My number 6, Dermot, I've already talked about the track. Supper's Ready from Foxtrot.
Yeah.
By the brilliant Genesis.
Yeah.
It's probably their only epic, isn't it?
I suppose you could say that. Yeah.
It's nearly all of Slide 2. I think there's a little track at the very start. But I think this is incredible. I know it's all stuff stitched together, but the way they stitch it together is brilliant.
Do you know what I love about it is the aesthetic. It's that real kind of. There's an Englishness about it. That's
there was a real Englishness.
Buns for tea and
it's a real English. You know what it reminds me of? I don't know about you. Supper's Ready. It always reminds me of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
whimsical.
Yes,
that kind of way about it. It just reminds me of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think prog is deeply connected to all these things. how many albums and songs can we think of with the Lord of the Rings in it? You know,
Yeah,
it's you know, these influences, Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter, and all this sort of stuff.
all
Like
that
it's
stuff. Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
everywhere in there. But yeah, I mean, to me, the thing about that song is the English aesthetic and the whole kind of idea of this kind of, you know, we're really in European territory here with this thing.
exactly.
Love it though. But what really hits me too is how they bring it to an end, how they bring this resolution to the end of the track. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's
You know?
absolutely. It's just blown
Yeah.
away. What's your number 5, Dermot?
Not my number 5. Now listen, I'm going to be. I've been a naughty boy, Pat. I've been a naughty
Okay,
boy.
you've been naughty, Dermot.
I just want to mention another album before I get my real number 5. Okay.
Oh,
Which
so this is
another,
not your real number 5 then?
no, this isn't my real number 5, but I want to mention it, and it comes into that same period of albums.
Okay, fire away, Dermot. Yeah.
Oh God, I never put that one in, and I thought, God, I'll have to take something out, and I thought, no, I'll just mention it, which is Elegy by Chicago off Chicago 3. I don't know if you're into Chicago or what you think
No,
of that.
I'm not. I haven't heard enough of them to give an honest opinion of them.
Please listen to this. It's fantastic. You know, I mean, there's bits of it that are reminiscent of, it's instrumental except for a poem at the start.
Yeah.
And it's about the death of mankind.
Yeah,
and it goes everywhere, and it even devolves into just jackhammers at one stage.
Yeah,
And then at the end, it goes into this musical sequence like the death of mankind. And if you listen to it, and then you listen to the big climax of Carnival 9, there's similarities between the two. It just builds up to this thing.
I have you now. Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, now I just had to mention that. Just
that's
again,
grand,
the diversity of things. Yeah, my next one is Rubicon by Tangerine Dream. Now I know you love that too, Pat. You know.
Sure, of course I do. One of my favorite.
Am I making up for Atom Heart Mother yet?
Yeah, well with that album. That album is actually, it's only about 36 minutes long, 37 minutes long.
Yeah, it's the whole album. The whole album,
man. It's just oh, I love that. I love that album. And actually I'm mad to get hold of, and I haven't got hold of it yet because people are looking for stupid money for it. The Stephen Wilson remixed that.
Okay, yeah.
And I'd like to get my hands on that. But I know some people might say that's not actually prog, as in the, you know, yourself. I keep doing this.
You know, look. I mean, let's, you know, prog. It's a name that some music journalists put on themselves.
That's true. Yeah.
We can come and go with it. To me, this is all just good music.
That's great music. And that album itself, that you were talking about journeys and taking on a trip, but that one does take you on.
It does, yeah.
It does. That one came out after Phaedra, which is the one that John Peel, you know, loved the album, gave it load, and got to the top 10 in the UK.
Yeah.
And would you believe they made an album after that they never actually released in the 80s, called Green Desert. They recorded an album called Green Desert, which I have on LP, and didn't release it until 84. And it's brilliant too. It's a mixture of Phaedra and Rubicon, that era, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Well,
that's a good one.
Thanks, Pat.
Anyway, I go my number 5, and this is, and I'm pronouncing this one correctly because a lot of people pronouncing this Omadon or something. It's Omadon.
Yes.
Like an Omadon is an Aegis, really. That's what they are. An Omadon.
Yeah, the fool, isn't it? It's a
fool. Yeah, the fool. But this is so. I think this album actually is probably better than Tubular Bells.
It's a fantastic album. Yeah.
You know, and again, first and second side, it has everything on it. A bit of Irish.
Yeah.
Again, English folk, European folk, little bit of rock on it. It has everything on it. And to think of it, like, I don't even think he was, when he would have brought that album, I don't even think he was 20 yet, was he?
No, he was 19, I think, when that came out. Yeah.
When he made that album, 19. Can you imagine that? It's
incredible.
Like that man's talent surpassed it. Like, and that album is just, I don't know. For me, especially with the Irish influence, like, because he has an awful lot of Irish influence because his mother was from Cork.
Okay. I didn't know that.
His mother, and she was a nurse in England, where she met his dad, but she was from Cork, so his Irish roots shine through on a lot of his music.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was just thinking about him actually there the other day, and I was just thinking, really, what you need to do with Mike Oldfield is you need to look at his whole body of work as one piece. You know, it's everything kind of fits together like a jigsaw in this huge tapestry.
Yeah, he has such a big discography, and it changes. Obviously, as the musical styles and whatever changes.
Yeah,
you know. But anyway,
there are little Oldfield-isms in it, but it kind of moves on all the time.
Exactly. What's your number 4, Dermot?
My number 4 is
you haven't got a number 4
Concerto by Focus.
Oh, what you remember when I bought that, Dermot? You were there when I bought it.
I persuaded you to buy it.
Yeah, you asked me. I asked you. I said, "Is this what?" You said yes, and you said, "I got it."
Yeah.
And I have to say, I think by not much, I think it's their best album.
I think so too. Yeah. I think so too.
And the track you picked off of that, what's the track you picked off of that?
It's the Hamburger Concerto itself.
Track. Yeah. That is some track, isn't it? And
it's amazing. There's little nods to Beethoven in it, and then when it goes into that bit where he's and sliding, oh Jesus!
And actually, I think it's probably one of their best produced albums, actually, because
I think so. Yeah, it sounds.
It really is a full sound on that album.
Yeah,
and a great Dutch band. Dutch band.
Yeah.
More about them later.
Oh,
more about them later. Now, my number 4 is probably going to be controversial.
Okay,
I think it is. Because it's from Deep Purple. There's one for you.
Okay, yeah.
And it's from this amazing album. This is the Japanese version of Made in Japan.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was called Live in Japan, and the track is Space Trucking.
Yes.
Now, if that's not prog, I don't know what is. Because it has everything in it.
Yeah.
It has everything but the kitchen sink is in this track.
Yeah.
But you have the incredible work by John Lord on this, and strange keyboards on it when they go off on a kind of a jam.
Yeah.
And the strange guitar work by Blackmore on it.
Yeah.
And they were such incredible musicians anyway. They could have done anything.
Yeah.
You know, and that particular concert caught them at their max, at their peak.
Yeah.
And I always think that track is you put that on from start to finish, it's just a mesmerizing track because it has the heavy bit at the start, like straight up rock, like, you know, heavy rock, and then it completely changes.
Yes.
Completely goes off on something else.
Yeah.
Now, it might be controversial in some people's eyes, but I think that.
I'll tell you, Pat. Like, my experience of that is, you know, when I was young, the first kind of music that I started really kind of getting into was things like AC/DC and this sort of things. It was kind of heavy rock, Scorpions, this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I remember there was a UFO album with them all at a petrol station on the front of it. I can't think of the name.
I can't think of the name of it either, no.
So there was a few of these things, and we were all buying this stuff. And there was guys that'd be a bit older than us that going, have you ever heard Deep Purple? Yeah. And they used to keep talking about in rock and space trucking and things. And one of us got our hands on it. I can't remember. It was myself and a bunch of friends. We were all into this stuff.
Yeah.
One of us got our hands on it. It might have been me because I got this kind of old second-hand version of it, you know, and it was wrecked. But and I still have it. And
you have it.
Yeah. And I remember it was one of the it was the first track that we'd all heard that took up a whole side of an album. You know. And what we said was, God, if something takes up the whole side of an album, there's loads of mad playing on it. And that started opening some of us up to kind of following the prog route.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like the gateway drug into prog, basically, that track.
Oh, yeah. Here's your starter for 10, and here's your fix.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's your fix.
Yeah.
Very good, Dermot. Very good, Dermot.
No, brilliant pick, Pat. Brilliant pick. Yeah, love it. Love it.
You're
And
not, you're number
there's nothing wrong with something that happens spontaneously like that.
No, no, I agree. And that live album is just an incredible album anyway.
Yeah.
Number 3, Dermot.
Number 3. Now I'm going to pick one that's a kind of controversial album, Tales from Topographic Ocean. And what's he going to pick off that? I'm going to pick Ritual. Okay.
On side 4, yeah.
That's it. A lot of people kind of talk about this album now, and those that hate it just kind of seem to hate everything. And then those that like it seem to talk about the first album quite a lot. But I think Ritual is the most complete epic on that album. It has a beginning, a middle, an end. It goes through the whole thing. It resolves itself beautifully. And of course, Yes, I've said it before on YouTube. The first Yes album I ever heard was Tomato. And other albums then that came out around that time was Drama. I remember getting Drama when it came out. And getting the live album, the double live one, Yes Shows, came out.
And that track is on that album.
Exactly. It had a live. And that was the first time I heard that track. So to me, that track kind of stands almost separate from the rest of the work on Topographic Ocean.
And I think it's better live actually.
I think the live version is mind blowing. Yeah. And I think if you take that as a standalone track off that album, it stands up to any other epic that Yes ever produced. I think it's fabulous, and it doesn't get enough love. So I thought I'd bring it up here.
Bring in the love for Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dermot. Dermot, I said we would go back to Focus again.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Ah, yes.
Eruption.
Yes.
Side 2.
Yeah.
Full side of the album.
Yeah.
I think it's nearly as good as the Hamburger Concerto.
Yeah.
But not quite.
I'd agree. It's mind blowing though. It's really good.
Mind blowing, but an absolutely brilliant. And again, like you said earlier, it has everything on it.
Yeah.
I think they were finding their feet on this one because the first album, they didn't really know what they were doing.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing on this though.
They did.
They really knew. Dermot knew what they were doing, and they're brilliant. And Jan Ackerman.
Yeah.
Is some guitarist.
Oh, he's mind blowing. I mean, the man is incredible. But
an incredible guitarist.
The interesting thing was when I started kind of getting into prog, Focus must have been very big in Ireland for some reason or another. Because I remember you'd go to people's houses and loads of people had a copy of that and a copy of Live at the Rainbow. They seem to be that kind of everyone had, and they'd all be talking about it. And you know what, Pat? Nobody ever turned over that album and listened to the second side.
No, they probably didn't know.
They just played the side with the hits on it.
You didn't want to know that about the second side. Exactly.
No. Exactly, yeah.
Right, anyway, that was my number 3. Dermot, what's your number 2?
Right, well, I'm going to
go. We're not ranking these now, these are just numbered.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go a bit off the beaten track a good bit here now with Steve Hillage's Solar Music Suite from Fish Rising. I just think this is incredible. It's got it. We talked a little bit about aesthetic and the pictures in your mind that some of these things paint. And with that, it's so subtle. It's like reflections, when you see the sun dancing on water and kind of the rainbows within beams of light and things like that. There's a kind of feeling like that. It's like looking at a Monet painting when you listen to it. It's just this beautiful thing that takes you off into this kind of alternative landscape. It's an incredible piece of music. Although I'd say Steve probably had a little bit of assistance in the in the chemical stage to get onto that, but it's nearly the full lineup of Gong playing on it with him as well. So
I'm not that familiar with that now, to be honest with you, Dermot. Not that familiar with it. I must check that out, Dermot. That's a good one.
Please do.
Wasn't one I was really, really expecting now.
Right.
My number 2 is from the brilliant Canadian rock band Rush.
Okay.
And of course, it's Cygnus X1 Book 2 Hemispheres, the first track, the whole side.
Yeah.
This is their epic. And I never rate these really as a totally prog band, but this album is prog. This
Yeah.
was their now they made a stab at it at Caress of Steel and maybe the first side of 2112 and a little bit on Farewell to the Kings. This is their first full blown one where they said, right, we're going in to do it. Like it's the last epic they ever did.
Yeah.
And it is a brilliant track from start to finish.
It is an album that they pushed themselves to the limits of their ability.
Especially then on the second side with La Villa.
Yeah.
They pushed themselves to the very limit of their ability on that.
Yeah.
And it is an incredible album, Dermot, the album.
Yeah.
And that track in particular. Now it's heavier than your normal, it is heavier. You can hear the heaviness there. And of course, a lot of people say they were a huge influence on the likes of those prog metal bands, Dream Theater and all those bands. Maybe they weren't, I couldn't tell you. But anyway, that's my number 2 anyway.
That's great. Yeah, we'll have to have a laugh about the prog metal stuff sometime.
Oh, we will have.
So my final one now, and I'm gone into obvious territory now. I've kind of gone from the sublime to the ridiculous in some of my picks because I was trying to pick things that were kind of outside the straight.
I expect nothing less from you, Dermot. And nothing less.
but my number 1 is Thick as a Brick.
Just,
I mean, talk about epic, a piece of music that takes up the whole album.
Yeah.
And the whole story of Little Milton.
And taking the piss at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But it's that sense of humor, but it's almost gone full circle because the one that I started with, In Hell 'Twas an I, is like a complete piss take as well. And then you come back to that and we're back. And it's that kind of Monty Python humor again. It's
English kind of humor. Yeah. That English kind of humor, whimsical.
Yeah.
Childlike in many respects, cartoonish.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing album. Amazing.
And as a, it's got that humor, it's got that aesthetic, it's got, this epic like feel, the whole thing taking up an album is just mad. But as well as that, it's good.
It's just good. And actually the playing on that is amazing. And we were speaking about Barry Moore Barlow earlier on. That's his first album with Jethro Tull.
Okay, yeah.
After Clive Bunker was on the previous one, Aquino. But that is an incredible one. Now, I suppose, as I said, we're not ranking these, right? But my number 1, it's only just number 1, my last one, should I say. And it'd be very, very remiss of me if I didn't pick this track, considering the name of my channel.
Oh, yeah.
The title track, Close to the Edge. Sure, you have to pick one of the greatest prog albums of all time.
Yeah.
And Close to the Edge is probably one of the greatest prog tracks of all time. And yet it was
just even drop the prog, Pat. It's just it's just a masterpiece of an album.
Masterpiece of music.
It just you put it on and it's transcendental. I remember the first time I heard that. I had a friend who had a record shop here in Clonmel. And I asked him, could he get it for me? And it was in the dark days of the 80s when you couldn't even mention these bands, or the pilloried and everything. And he got it in, he had it under the counter. Here you go.
Imagine, under the counter job.
And I remember I brought it home and I had a room, I had my bedroom, I had 2 speakers on the wall, I had the record player, and I had a chair. And I sat in the chair that I'd set at exactly the right point to listen to the music. I was about 15 and I put the thing on, and when it went into that, I get up, I get down, and then the church organ came in. I swear to God, it was like I'd left my body at that stage. And it's that thing, like there's a few albums like that where you can remember the first time you heard it. And
there is, Well, at my age, not many now I can remember.
No, I feel sorry for kids now that they can kind of source everything out on Spotify and YouTube and things prior to listen
prior
to.
to going out and buying. I bought that blind. I went out and bought that album myself. I would have bought that album. So I was into Deep Purple, Rainbow, Whitesnake, all those bands, and I wanted to go out and do prog. Because that's what we knew then, it was prog, like, or actually what we used to call it, actually, Kevin and myself, was techno rock.
Okay, cool.
That's what we called it.
Yeah.
Techno rock.
Yeah.
And I went out and bought Close to the Edge. And I remember when I heard it, the very first time I heard the whole album, on my own I heard it, I was saying to myself, and I'll use that, I said, good fuck almighty, I said. That's totally different than anything I've been used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was saying to myself as well, like, what the fuck is he singing about? What's he singing about? I don't know what. I couldn't get my head with the lyrics.
Yeah.
I was reading the green lyric sheet on it.
Do you know the one I got, the guy that got it for me in the record shop, he got it and it was some 80s release of it and it had no lyric sheet.
No lyric sheet.
Well, you could imagine me trying to make is he actually singing what I think he is?
So eventually I played it a few more times and I said, well, fuck this, I said. I don't care. I don't care about not understanding the lyrics. It's just like part of the music.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the way I took it. And to this day, I still don't know what he's singing about.
Yeah. Well,
I don't.
I've kind of dug into it. I've dug into it, Pat, but I won't go into it now.
Yeah.
But the whole thing joins together. The message isn't just in the lyric. The message is in the tonality of this.
Tonality. That's it. The music. His voice blends in with the music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just absolutely mind blowing. That was That was my as I said, last one, because I'm not ranking. I have to keep saying, because people will say I'm not ranking. Even though it is one of the greatest stuff. There's no question.
It is. And I
mean, in rock music now, not just talk in music in general, in rock music in general.
I mean, the greatest albums ever made, Close to the Edge has to be in that list of the greatest albums.
Oh, it would be, yeah.
If you were the top 20 greatest albums ever made, has to be in there. And someone that doesn't put it in is just biased, a kind of negative snob against something that is absolutely brilliant,
Brilliant, exactly, Dermot.
Well, did you enjoy that? I did, but there was so many I had to leave out, Pat, that it broke my heart, to be honest with you. You know what I mean?
What did you leave out?
Well, I could talk away about things like Tubular Bells, Relayer with the Gates of Delirium and all these, but there was a few that I kind of picked out that for honourable mentions, if you don't mind, Pat, okay? And some of these aren't great, and I'll kind of knock them if I think they aren't. Scheherazade by Renaissance. That's a very long, epic piece of music, but it doesn't have the drama in it that I think a real proper.
It doesn't have that. Okay.
Yeah, it just kind of it goes on, and it's great, but it just, to me, it just doesn't have it. But one that is brilliant, I think, is Salisbury by Uriah Heep.
Okay. Oh yeah, I know that track. Yeah, that's great.
Because again, it's like Eli; it's got that groove to it.
They had that groove, didn't they? They had that groove.
Yeah, it's epic, and it has this kind of dun.
Yeah, I know it's exactly what you're saying.
Keeps you going through it. Okay, one of the best. Like, I mean, I suppose between what's his name, Steve Hackett's first album and this Small Creeps Day by Mike Rutherford, we have the two greatest kind of solo albums to come out of Genesis. And I find the track Small Creeps Day on this is quite a nice little track to follow. Like, it's the most
I wouldn't be familiar with that. No, I wouldn't be familiar with him.
Well, just this album. Don't buy anything else, boy.
Oh, Mike, he got Mike in the Mechanics, hadn't he?
Yeah. But this is interesting. Like, you've got an epic track on it that takes up all one side, and it's very interesting. Very, about a guy in a factory trying to find out what his reason, what the reason is behind the job he does.
have you? Yeah.
Really interesting. 9 Feet Underground by Caravan from the Land of Grey and Pink.
Yeah, a lot of people are recommending me that album, right?
It's a great album.
Now, Kevin has it, right? And I went off
Yeah.
and listened to it. Now, I don't have it.
Okay.
It doesn't do a whole lot for me, Dermot.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So
Doesn't
we're all
do a
different.
whole lot for me.
Yeah.
Now, maybe maybe I have to listen to it properly.
I don't
And
know.
I do
We all hear things different. And the thing about Caravan is they're very silly. They're very silly people. And if you like that kind of silliness and going down the hole with them, well, that's fine. That's great.
fine if
I
you
do
don't.
enjoy that album.
It just didn't gel with me, but I will give it another.
Give it another one. There's 2 more I wanted to mention. Todd Rundgren's Utopia with the Icon. Quite a dramatic piece of music. Probably goes on a bit too long. So you have to especially.
I think it does, actually, yeah. I think it does, yeah.
And one of the unsung heroes that I picked up just a while ago, which is the Refugee album that Patrick Moraz did with the 2 boys out of the Nice.
Oh, yes. I haven't heard that, Dermot. Is that a good album, yeah?
I tell you, it's a lot of people don't talk about it. And I was in a record shop, and it was one of these places where everything was about €30, no matter what it was. And this was €8 thrown in a bin. And I bought it, and I took it. I said to the woman, I said, this is quite an interesting album. I said, out of all that, yeah. So I brought it home. It is absolutely amazing. There are actually 2 songs on it over 15 minutes long. There's the Grand Canyon Suite and there's Credo, which are both fantastic. Patrick Moraz is in mind-blowing form on this.
Yeah, brilliant keyboardist. Sure, he was brilliant with Yes, absolutely brilliant. Okay, I must check that one out, Dermot. Thanks for that.
Yeah, and you've got the rhythm section out of the Nice then backing them as well, so they know how to play
brilliant as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that's my honourable mentions, Pat. And
I don't really have any honourable mentions now, to be honest with you. I could have picked, obviously, from Yes, I could have picked Awaken. As you know, it's a brilliant track from Going for the One. But there's a lot more I could have picked up, but I didn't really, could have picked a Passion Play.
Yes.
Totally different from Take Us a Break. I mean, totally different. I actually could have picked, and a lot of people, the first side of Works Volume 1.
Yeah.
The classical piece of music that Keith Emerson wrote.
I tell you, it wasn't an easy job picking these, Pat.
No.
Thanks for that, Pat. I've got a few great.
Dermot, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely excellent.
Brilliant. No, great to be on with you, Pat. And
No, Dermot, it's a pleasure. And you hopefully be on again, and hopefully you might start up a channel soon and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm kind of thinking about it, but I'm very busy with work at the moment.
You need time and you need all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Dermot, thank you very much, and I'll just leave say my usual stuff at the end there, and hopefully you enjoyed that. And if they did, Dermot, they should subscribe, like it, and we'll have more videos coming up very soon. And whatever you're doing, stay safe in this mad world. Stay safe. And one of the things my dad used to always say to me, there, it's nice to be nice. Always nice to be nice. But anyway, from Dermot and myself, Pat, here on Close to the Edge. Until the next time, bye for now, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.